Shalom. I'm back from Israel, and as you can see, my Hebrew is vastly improved from the visit. We happen to have had a marvelous, marvelous time in Israel. Was able to relax, was able to take care of some business, was able to work on a new book that I hope to have out before Pesach, and was able to meet with the president of Ilan University. As you can see, looking at the picture of the two of us, I somehow make other gentlemen look rather mighty, but he is quite a gentleman and a mighty leader, and it was a pleasure to meet him. But there's another president that was talked about in Israel that I wanted to draw your attention to. His name is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is loved in Israel. You have no idea. I mean, some question some of his thoughts and ideas and propensities. But when it comes to the Jewish people, he's a heroic figure. And what makes this interesting is while the overwhelming majority of Jews in Israel love Donald Trump, it's true to say the overwhelming majority of Jews in the United States do not share similar feelings. How do you explain that? Well, of course, it's explained from this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion tells of the beautiful song that the Jews chanted when they participated in the miracle of the crossing of the Red Sea. Both the men and the women sang. But if you look in the Torah, you'll be struck by the fact that the men sang 20 verses and the women, led by Miriam, only sang 2. How do you explain that? Well, according to a great 18th century sage, the Chassam Sofer, the reason why the women said less than the men was because they have such spiritual insight that they see God's hand every day in all of creation and everything that they do in childbirth. And so what they saw at the Red Sea was nice, but was nothing different than what they experience all of their lives due to their intellectual superiority. There's a commentator from the 1500s, the Ralbag, who gives a very different explanation. He says that the women only recited 2 verses because women just don't get it. They are intellectually inferior, and they couldn't appreciate the magnitude of the miracle that unfolded before them. How do you explain 2 different explanations? Well, if you look, you'll see there's a difference in perspective. The Ralbag had a thing when it came to women, I'm sorry I have to say. The first woman named Eve, Chava, he says, got that name because it's related to Chaya, an animal. So a woman was a step above an animal, but not quite as good as man. So if you come from that perspective, you're going to see women as being intellectually inferior. So it very often depends upon perspective. The perspective of the Jews in Israel is on a President Donald Trump who has recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, who refuses to keep funneling money to Palestinian refugees who are terrorists and who are killing Jews, who stands up for the rights of the Jewish people. American Jews look at a Donald Trump and they look at his position on refugees and on taxes and his behavior. They're coming from a very, very different perspective. And so the Ralbag's entitled to his perspective, the Chassam Sofer to his, American Jews to theirs, and Israeli Jews to their own. And I've got my perspective, and Trump's got his perspective. And who's right? It's a matter of perspective. Have a good Shabbos.